wanna be inside of you when the sun goes down. As long as I'm gonna be around you when the sun goes down, yeah. Inside of you when the sun goes down. As long as I'm gonna be around you when the sun goes down, yeah, 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 yeah,
All right, my friends. Hopefully my mic is plugged in. It appears to be lighting up, so I think that means the sound is going through. What up, everybody? All right, we're just gonna settle in here for a minute or two, and then we'll get started here very shortly. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Hopefully everyone's doing well. Interesting times in front of us. I've got a lot of stuff that I want to yap about today, so we'll be doing that. Per usual. Any questions? Any conversations? Any sort of yap you have? Just throw it in the chat and we'll cover it. Main things I want to discuss today. I want to yap about big picture Bitcoin plans. Talk about medium time frame Bitcoin plans. Talk about what's happening right now. Talk about some altcoins here and there, and just do some generalized Q&A. So hopefully everyone's doing well. Let me check chat. I don't even have the chat box pulled up. Just gonna read through chat for a second. Say what up to everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you. Yeah, the puppy's not too pleased with the stream this morning. Normally, after we run around and go on a walk and stuff, he's down to chill, but he's just keeps doing that fucking meme where he's peering around the corner, giving me that side eye, like, why are we not playing ball right now? He'll go to sleep here soon enough, and we'll be fine though. Yeah, I've been watching a bunch of the ESL, but I don't want to talk about CS. What up, Fervor? What up, guys? What up, guys? Shout out to the puppy. Shout out to all the puppies everywhere. The puppies, they just simply make everything that much better. It's that simple. He makes my life just a tiny bit better every day. Okay, yeah, so hopefully everyone's doing well. I can hear my pup laying down in the crate in the other room, so that is him conceding. He gave up. All right, guys. So yeah, you guys have a good idea, good expectation of what I'm looking for right now, and yeah, if you guys have any questions along the way, definitely throw it in the chat. But don't hesitate to ask any questions along the way. I'm going to focus up here in just about 30 seconds and lock in on the Bitcoin Yapperino. I'm a little distracted because I'm in a position right now, and they just came 200 points from my stop just now. Today has been one of my worst days trading in a while, just in the sense that I longed too early today, but it is what it is. Potential Dalai Lama. That's what I was thinking this morning. I mean, Nelly, as you saw, I called that in the group, and I was obviously wrong about that. I mean, I laid out all the plans about the levels and stuff, and I think that I called for plan 1 and 2 being most likely, and both of those are playing out in front of us, more or less in one way or the other. So just be patient with it, and I'm gonna hope I don't get stopped out on stream, but realistically, I probably will. And honestly, if I get stopped out today, it'll be a good lesson for me because yeah, I haven't gotten stopped out on a trade in a very long time, so I think I was a little lackadaisical with my execution today, a little complacent. My trades just been working too well. All right, guys. So let me go ahead and get into a little bit of Bitcoin Yapperino. If there's any questions or confusion along the way, as always, just don't hesitate to ask questions and make sure that we understand. There's no such thing as a stupid question. The only stupid questions that exist, guys, are the ones that go unanswered. If you don't understand something, it's far more stupid for you to not ask the question and not learn than to be the guy that's embarrassed for 3 seconds when we all, laugh at you for being dumb, right? Like, who's really the dumb person in that scenario? Okay, massive shout out to Coinbase Advanced for sponsoring all my content. It's just what an honor it is, honestly. Just no exaggeration. It's an honor to be partnered with such a great brand and have them endorsing my content. So big shout out to them. All right, let me go ahead and get into, let's focus up. Let's get into some Bitcoin macro. I don't have an enormous amount of Bitcoin macro yap to necessarily discuss, but yeah, we'll kind of just see where it takes us. So no notes, just straight off the dome. First and foremost, first thing that comes to mind is I just want to say, everyone just take a step back and be happy about things, Take a step back, say, hey, it's pretty cool that fucking Bitcoin, traded up a bunch, right? I'm feeling, this feels so reminiscent, so deja vu-esque of last year, where I'm trying not to get ahead of myself and trying not to be, trying not to celebrate before the point, before the money's locked in and stuff. But things look good. A lot of my plans have just played out so well, And I can't help but just really be, grateful in these moments when I get things right like this. So hopefully all of you guys have done well alongside that. I wanted to weave this lesson in that I put in the Outlook as well. A lot of you guys are probably being pretty hard on yourselves in these days about what your performance looks like, how much you made, how much you lost, blah, blah, blah. Always try to take a step back from that comparison against others and compare yourself against yourself, right? And your focus is, are you moving forward? So I've been having this discussion with a lot of people, mostly private, but some public conversations too. You guys always got to just, as long as you are moving forward, you're 3 steps ahead of where you were 3 weeks ago, then it's fine. You don't have to have made $7 billion over the past couple weeks if you make any money, and, be optimistic about it. So trading is the kind of game that you don't really ever win. You just really, most people just lose. So, and losing as a trader is you giving up. So the fact that you guys are still logging in, tuning into the stream, I don't know how many of you actually are here right now, like 130 of you. Go ahead and run those likes up for me, boys. Would appreciate that. 130 of you are in here showing up, still ready to go. So give yourself a pat on the back, even if you didn't make as much money as you necessarily wanted to, because you're still here and you still have the opportunity to win. Okay, let's run through some more yaps. So some key talking points on the macro. So let's just run through some of the main points that we were discussing previously. Point number 1 was the trend respecter argument. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, right? I've been trend respecting the whole way through. Anybody that's calling the top, is dumb. There's no, that's the nicest way for me to put it. There's just no sense in any of that. So that was point number 1. Point number 2 was around the seasonality chop, which, as clearly we've transitioned away from that, right? We've had a lot of, momentum and volatility start to come in at the beginning of the year, or the beginning of the quarter, excuse me. And I think that's going to persist. Number 3 was the idea of the of the fuck you move, right? This is really, really important, guys. Everyone pay the fuck attention for this conversation right now. This is really important. When something is obvious, the market wants to go up. That's fucking obvious, right? To everybody. You have to be, brain dead to not see that, right? I don't know why I just clicked. In order for the market to play out the way that it looks like it's going to, when it's obvious, it's always going to pressure the fuck out of you in one form or another. And normally what I call that is, I call it the fuck you move, right? So we went through that stage of kind of time capitulation with the chop, and then a version of price capitulation, which was this move right here, right? This move was really, really tough for people. This was what I called the Q3 fuck you move, right? If you've been in the group or you watch the streams, you've heard me talk about the Q3 and Q4 fuck you moves a bunch, right? And these are to be expected. So when you look at this structurally, this scared the fuck out of people because it looked like we were setting in a lower high and making bearish structuring. And I talked about the idea of us setting in that higher low, and that's when you actually get optimistic, right? So it's just kind of, let this be a lesson, right? When something's obvious, there has to be a wrench that gets thrown into the plan to make it uncomfortable for people. It's never going to be, okay, everybody knows we go up and then we just go up in a straight line and everyone gets to win together. You should never expect it to be that way, right? It's always going to make it uncomfortable for you first. So the reason why this conversation is really important is not just because of the move that just happened, but because the move that's likely to happen next, right? So I feel pretty confident in this, that, now that the Q4 has officially started, you're going to have some sort of move here, whether it's, realistically, it makes the most sense that it would be in October. It could happen in November as well. There's going to be a point this quarter where the market trades down against you and makes being bullish difficult. And that's going to be your, that's going to be your moment, your moment where the market's going to test you, right? And if you can be a man and fucking, grab your balls and buy, you're going to get rewarded later and, going into the end of the year. So that's kind of where I'm at. I know this is kind of hard to follow. My voice is giving out on me for some reason. Been doing way too many calls and all sorts of bullshit. Just been super busy recently. But yeah, it's kind of where I'm at, right? The Q3 fuck you move happened. I think a Q4 fuck you move is upon us. Same kind of argument for me that I've done with everything. If a move like that comes, I'm gonna buy it. Simple as that. If it affects equities as well, then I would probably buy equities on top of it all. Wow, equities are starting to get smacked too. We'll look at equities here in a moment after I'm finished with the Bitcoin macro, but that's more or less the main talking points. Moving forward, I think that, where we're at right now is significant macro, resistance. with it being, you know, 3 standard deviations from the local macro trend. I don't know why I said local macro trend. That's pretty much an oxymoron. Anyways, moving forward. So basically the idea is 125 is going to be really significant resistance. The different scenarios that I see playing out here are as follows. This is much more of a medium time frame conversation, but I'm going to just yap through it here anyways. I'll check chat here momentarily and catch up with your questions. So we're at macro resistance right now, and the trend is up. So what are the most likely scenarios? If we just had a pretty decent impulsive move to resistance, it tells me that you shouldn't expect us to just V back. I know that we V'd up, so maybe V'ing back makes some sense to you. My gut tells me that we're not going to V back, that most likely what's to happen is that you see the consolidation above 120 and below 125, right? That's what seems like a no-brainer play to me right now. So that means that, you know, if you are to, you know, have these pullbacks into this impulsive move, you probably want to be dip buying into them, right? Alternatively, if you see 120 get lost, then, you know, that means that you're range reaccepting and that you should trade back in the direction of 110. I think that if 120 is an obvious level that everyone's going to talk about, we're either going to front run it with a bottom today at like 121, so we'll front run it by $1,000, or we're going to trade through it. If 120 is the level, then maybe we trade to 118 and then bounce. That is basically where I'm at right now. Main 1 and 2, holy shit, that was autistic too. The main plans moving forward, 1 and 2, are either a range or a deviation, and everything basically is resolving higher as it stands, right? I think the only reason, why, holy shit, I need to drink some water. My bad. 1 second. I've just been doing way too many meetings and calls and shit. Apparently using my voice too much. Fuck, I lost my train of thought. That's pretty much it, right? I mean, I had, I think, one more kind of key point I was going to make. Oh, yeah. So here's what potentially throws a wrench in this plan. The only reason why I see these plans not resolving bullishly in the immediate term is if equities, like, get smacked even harder, right? So everyone knows, right, that the U.S. government is, you know, shut down right now. I don't really, you know, I'm not going to LARP as a macro geopolitical economist and say I understand any of that stuff. I don't frankly care that much. But it does make sense to me that if there's a certain point where if they can't come to a resolution eventually, that's going to put pressure on risk markets eventually. So if you see equities selling off, obviously crypto's not going to go up during that period. So it's the only thing that I'm worried about a little bit in the back of my mind is I want to see the resolution come through. I think that, you know, I'm about to be really, you know, really 60 IQ right now, but I think the probabilities are higher that they're just going to come to a resolution and that we'll forget about this, just like every other shutdown or potential shutdown that we've ever had. It feels like in my life the shutdowns have been just a constant thing, so I don't even pay that much mind to them. Anyways, that's more or less where we're at. Closing thoughts on macro are going to be about a little bit of level talk. So now that we've traded through 120, and I said next time we trade through 120, we're going to smash it. So we did that. Now you should expect 120 to be turned into support moving forward. So 120 is now your macro support. 110 is your risk invalidation. If you lose 110, then you don't really want to be risk on. Our upside targets, I think that Bitcoin is going to struggle with 125 for a while. Once it defeats 125, you're looking at round numbers of 135 and 150. You don't want to overthink the levels and, you know, do all this bullshit. Just slap a fucking logical level on your chart that makes sense. That's why everyone picks 150. That's why everyone will pick 175 and everyone will pick 200 and 225, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I actually read some logic recently about why those kind of round numbers. There's even a term for it. Somebody was explaining to me. I always just use round numbers and, you know, for psychological purposes, but there is actually a real reason as to why human beings gravitate that direction. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and pause for a minute. I'm going to read chat, and we'll continue with the outlook. Don't hesitate to ask any questions or just keep the chat bumping. All right. Mega sounds just like Doc. That's crazy. What a crazy statement that is right there, brother. I hope Doc's not in here to hear this. Really obnoxious take, but brother, he sounds like me if anybody sounds like somebody else. My bad, Doc, if you're in here, because that's cunty, but it's the truth. It's been funny watching this stuff with Doc play out that way, because I just don't make enough of an effort to yap anymore, and Doc is just like less burnt out with trading than me, so he yaps more than me sometimes, and he does a better job on his streams about yapping than I do a lot of the times too. So then it's just funny when people tell me like I'm getting my shit from Doc or whatever. Anyways, I'm gonna final thing I'm gonna say about that, and then I'm gonna move back to serious conversation, is Doc is one of the few people that was gonna figure it out whether I helped him or not. And the key thing that the key credit that I would take with him is that I just helped him move faster probably, but he was going to figure it out either way. Now that can't be the same, that can't be said the same about most people, but he was a special little autistic friend. All right, we're moving forward into serious shit. Hold up. All right. Read in chat. Maximum amount of leverage you're willing to touch. Guys, it's almost 2026 and I'm still getting hit with questions about leverage like that, you know? Look, I'm going to give you a fucking bullshit roundabout answer because that's the honest one for me. I trade with fucking high leverage a lot of the times because, you know, I trade with less than 10% of my money. I don't know the exact number. I would estimate it's definitely less than 10% of my total money. So when I trade with 20x leverage, it's not even a fucking big deal for me. For you guys, you shouldn't be thinking that way, right? Everything should always come back to, with leverage, the position size calculation. Position size equals risk divided by stop times account value. I'm pretty sure I just said that formula correctly. I don't actually ever do it anymore because I don't need to. But that's how you want to know what leverage you should use? Do the position size calculation and don't try to be out here pushing leverage, guys. Okay. Would you say it is currently baited a bit? What would you say is currently baited to Bitcoin narrative wise? Nothing really, guys. You know, Bitcoin is a version of beta to, it's not direct, but it's a version of beta to gold and to the NASDAQ is how I look at it. What's beta to Bitcoin? I mean, you know, a few alts here and there are going to classify as true beta, but most alts aren't beta to Bitcoin anymore. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. From a mathematical standpoint, I don't think that they are beta anymore. If your guys' focus is still, it's 2025 and your guys' focus is still on beta, then you guys are fucking up, right? Beta was so, like, I am hesitant to call it an edge because it wasn't really an edge. It was just a tool in the past. If you had a good read on Bitcoin, then beta was an edge. Beta alone was just leverage in the past. Now, beta barely even exists in the way that it used to, you know, the ways that, like, people like Charlie and I used to teach it back in the day just doesn't even exist anymore. You can thank all the VCs and everybody for all that shit. Let's say we get previous weekly VWAP around 118, or you put in the invalidation. I mean, if I was confident 118 was the low and I wanted to put in invalidation, probably like 116 or something like that. But I mean, levels are memes, boys. Levels are memes. They told me the cycle top was 1,064 days from the bottom, and that was yesterday. That's my quant right there, boys. Brother, everybody's super bullish while we were at the top of a range just below all-time high. Should we not be more level-headed here? I mean, have I said anything that was not, you know, level-headed? It's hard for me to always know what I've said and what I haven't said on these streams. I talk about markets so much. I don't know what I said to the Paragon group and what I only said to you guys, if I'm being honest. I've been preaching a lot of be level-headed over the past week and don't be a dumbass in the Paragon group. Maybe I don't have that tone as much on here, but I mean, it should be just go without saying. I never am going to be telling you guys to like fucking be out here getting euphoric as we trade into all-time high like this. You know, you should have been buying 110, 112, 114, 115, like, you know, like I was, right? That's what you should have been doing, right? And now you don't buy now. So yeah, I would love the idea of us in the first couple weeks of October just liquidating the fuck out of people, right? If we want to trade down a good amount, and I would be happy with that, right? So, you know, if we trade down and liquidate people, it's just an opportunity, you know? That's concerning to me, though, that, like, is there any consensus around that? Do I sound like I'm not level-headed about these things? You know, I feel like on some level, I'm entitled to a little minor bit of celebration here and there because you know, right? A little bit of celebration's entitled. Paragon elites are up 400x minimum, 500x confirmed. How likely do you see 110 before 150? Well, mathematically, I mean, 110 is a lot closer than 150. I mean, if I just had to pull out some bullshit, you know, 110 is a lot closer than 150. So it is a higher probability just purely off that. Momentum's to the upside. That skews 150 a little bit more favorably, but who knows, bro? Scope. I don't want to LARP about stuff like that. That's I'll save that shit for Ansem. Struggling to understand Bitcoin dominance failing and most shitcoins looking terrible. Doge and Pepe just dying. Well, not Doge. Yeah, definitely I wouldn't say Doge is just dying. Like, yeah, it's down a lot today, but structurally Doge looks good, for example. A lot of alts look shit. These are not new lessons. I've been teaching this for literally years now. I think that this is the first year where the public has really caught up to that idea that you consolidate around Bitcoin and you don't, if you don't know how to identify strength in coins, you stop fucking buying them, right? So many people in this space just buy these perpetual downtrend shit coins and then wonder why they fucking lose. If your coin's not going up, then don't fucking buy it. Like, yeah, it becomes frustrating for me to have to teach the same lessons over and over again. And I'm not singling anybody out, so don't take anything, in any sort of way like that. But it's just frustrating, guys. I've been trying to save you guys from yourselves and teaching you how to look at altcoins for a long, long time now. And sometimes it just, yeah. We're about to fucking crash out on the stream. All right, let me move forward. Don't hesitate to ask questions, boys. Don't hesitate. What are you looking at? What are you looking for in alts during dips to make you something you want to buy? Fundamentals. I don't care about how important are fundamentals. We don't care about fundamentals at all, you know? What do we care about? We care about, is the coin going up, you know? When you look at your coin, you know, I don't want to show you on Doge because it's not the best coin, but it's like structurally, right? This is the argument. It's a structurally upwards aiming kind of coin, so it's not the worst, right? And then we can go over here and we'll find, because Pepe was mentioned earlier, I've traded Pepe a lot, and I loved Pepe last year, but it's dog shit now. It's right here. Right, look at the comparison. It's literally the reciprocal, right? So if this was what Pepe looked like, I'd be like, boys, you better be buying Pepe or you're gay, right? But this is not what it looks like. It looks like this, and therefore you don't want to buy it. And it is that simple, guys. It's that simple. Sadly, by the time a lot of you, I mean, I know, like, not every viewer is the same. So some people have understood this for a long time, and you're tired of hearing me yap about it. But by the time that the aggregate of you really have, like, understood this and know how to apply it, it's going to be meta shift time, if we're being honest. Probably we're going to move, by the time you guys understand this principle of, like, everything matters about Bitcoin, we're going to, like, go the opposite direction where, like, Bitcoin dominance is going to trend down forever after you guys realize this, I swear. Let me know when you guys get it. All right. Let's take a breather. We're here to learn. Ranging 120 to 125 or dipping below 118, which is more likely? What indicators do you choose to determine? Well, ultimately, I'm not, I LARP as a wizard online. I'm not actually a wizard. I don't have a crystal ball, so I can't tell you which one's necessarily more likely. I would much prefer us to dip more shallow because A, I got a lot of long exposure. If we're being honest, I don't really want to go to and draw down in the meantime, right? And B, I love the idea of us never letting people participate in the market and sidelining them forever, right? The more sidelined and the more pain, the higher we go, right? So my bias is bottom now and don't go any lower because that's better for me. Us going lower in the direction of 118 just makes it so that so many people will be able to participate in the trend, and I feel like that dip buying strategy is very much consensus. Everybody wanted to buy the dip last week, right? So I'm probably biased, but I think consolidating 120, 125 is most likely. If we're going to be bull market, you know, bull crazy in Q4, that's what it's going to look like to me. Thank you, Matthew. Pump up and holding strong. Yeah, Pump is a high priority on my list right now, 100%. Strange comparing October 2024, but I get your point. I'm not sure exactly what. Well, yeah. Some coins are good, some coins are bad. It's that simple. XPL strong. I don't know if I would consider it strong. It's something I have a baby dick bag on, and I am very seriously considering building it up, but we're not there yet. I'm going to finish up the chat, and then we're going to move over into a little bit of kind of closing thoughts on Bitcoin. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the stream today. If you're enjoying it or learning anything, slap that like button for me. Okay. Shitcoins aren't meant to swap back to native currency when liquidity expansion reduces. I don't know necessarily what you mean, but the first part I do agree that like they're just liquidity sourcing mechanisms getting mogged by influencers. It hurts because Link should be at the top 5 coin, but it continually dumps. Look, guys, the value of a network and the value of a token don't have to necessarily have any, you know, sensible correlation. A perfect example is ETH. ETH's network is incredibly valuable. Whether the average person on CT necessarily understands it or not, I've been saying this for years and years and years now, that ETH matters for... It's going to be the fucking network that, like, all the shit gets traded on, right? Like, that's where all the total locked value is going to be, et cetera, et cetera. But there's clearly not, you know, the value of the token is clearly not one-to-one with the network in any way, right? The network has only probably grown in value over the past few years, and the token's barely gone up at all, right? So let that be a lesson, guys, that, you know, logic around value evaluations just doesn't really matter that much most of the time. And as somebody who I actually got a huge part of my start as a professional trader with Link. I don't remember exactly when I started DCAing Link, but I was a Link mariner going into 2019. You know, it was like the biggest, you know, investment I had back then. And it helped me go full-time trading. You know, I sold into the Google announcement at $4 or whatever. And yeah, I know it went to 50, but I always love Link for that. But don't get caught up too much on fundamentals, guys. And you probably hear a lot of people yapping about this on CT nowadays, but it's always been the case, right? Positioning and flows are the only thing that matters, right? When you look at a coin like, what's like a really good coin right now? Like maybe like we can use Pump, right? Because Pump was doing well. When you look at this and you see this up move, right? And you see this down move. The coin went down a lot, and then it went up a lot. And the only thing that actually mattered with it going down and it going up is that people sold and then people bought. People's existing positions and then the flows that are coming in and exiting the market are the only thing that matter. The fundamentals of this coin didn't change at all, right? Whether Pump is traded down here or traded up here, the protocol is the same either way, right? So let's just let this be a lesson, guys. Just let this be a lesson. Positioning and flows are the only things that matter. The narrative, the rationale for why we make a coin go up is just the explanation that we give to other people so that we can justify dumping on them, right? Like that, it's ultimately all this comes down to. Joey Diaz. Tom DeMark sequential indicator? No. Definitely not. I don't really use a lot. Maybe it looks like I use a lot of indicators, but I actually don't. I basically just use VWAP, volume profile, and volume shit. Like, I don't use a whole lot of stuff. Keep it very simple. You really changed my perspective on this. Stopped holding shit and started rotating so much faster in a good way. Happy to hear that, brother. Honestly, I'm like in the opposite direction where I just rotate less and just stay more consolidated around larger stuff. But I'm not seeking the same kind of returns. I don't believe in like sequentials. I don't believe in so many indicators and stuff. I don't believe in. I don't actually think I'm underwater. You can tell Blood's pissed at Bitcoin because he's underwater. I don't actually think I'm underwater anymore. I might be. Oh yeah, I'm underwater still. Paul Tudor Jones, Bush on Stonks said, feels like 1999, NQ doubled. Well, keep in mind any of these guys that go on TV and talk like that, it's his job to fucking sell you some shit, so, you know, be careful. Sold on my alts. The next day Trump launched his coin in January, not regretting it at all. Best peace of mind since then, 100%. I think Trump's coin wasn't necessarily that bearish. It was a liquidity suck, you know, on the market, so coins nuked from it, but it wasn't bearish macro for me. What was really bearish was the Melania coin was when I was really, really concerned, right? Like, I remember having a call with Doc, and we kind of definitely were on the same page that the Melania coin was very, very bad for the space. So that was very concerning when that played out. Looks like we're printing a rounded top from April. I don't disagree. I just would say that, you know, momentum's to the upside, right? So when it looks like this, I think that we probably will still go a little higher before we go down first. That's my main thought. I didn't really think that we would trade down as much as we did today. Thought we would have traded up higher first and just kept pressuring sideliners. Either way, I don't think that it's like a macro top. Could you look at others? I don't really care about these kind of things, guys. I will look at it super quickly, but I don't give a fuck about this kind of stuff. This shit's dumb. Like, we're doing TA on things that don't have fucking order books, you know? I don't believe in doing TA on things that don't have order books. So it is great that ever since July, Bitcoin dominance has actually been trending down. That's pretty crazy for you altcoiners. But yeah, I don't really want to spend a whole lot of time on these kind of charts. I don't think that they're useful. I think that they're great social media bait, but use case maybe not so existent. You're still accumulating XPL. Charlie, like what I said in the group was I just bought once. I'm definitely not in accumulation mode yet with it because it's just too early to be in accumulation mode. I want to see the bottom round out a lot more. I mean, it's a great start. Great start. Don't get me wrong. And like seeing it do this and then do that, like probably want to be buying it up into these kind of things. But I immediately went underwater when I bought my first clip on this one, and yeah, we're playing it very slow and steady because I don't want this to end up. Don't feel FOMO on these kind of things that are downtrending, guys, because it's very easy for this thing to just go down a lot more. Looks like ETH BTC bottom. Yeah, I actually would agree with that without even actually looking at the chart. It's going to take a second to load, but basically the idea was I said over here that I think that ETH BTC needs a cooldown. I thought it would trade a little bit lower than it did, but this is probably the rounding out process of ETH BTC before ETH could start to outperform Bitcoin again. I think that the performance wave probably doesn't take place until closer to November. Watching your video yesterday, you said you want to pump a bit further. My question is, how much further? Is it already time? I thought that we would trade closer into the direction of 130, but time will tell. We bidding? I mean, yeah. I bought today. We'll see how it plays out for me. I've been buying, you know, relentlessly for months though, so just slowly just doing little 1% additions over and over and over and over again. What coins we buying right now on this dip? Let's come back to the altcoin conversation here shortly, guys. I'm gonna blast through chat and finish up my Bitcoin yap. Stop buying VC coins after TIA. TIA is a great example of a terrible fucking thing that you could have bought. Any advice on investing too big boys like S&P and Bitcoin? I think I'm not designed for trading. Hey, you know, honestly, massive respect for you, brother, for saying that. If you really believe that, you know, and you've come to terms and accepted that, then I have a lot of respect for you for that. So that's great. Look, my investing strategies are really simple. You probably could get better investment advice from actual, you know, investment advisors. But, you know, over the years, my strategy for how I invest has been built around maximizing comfort. So basically, most of the things that I buy, the intention is to allow myself to not be fearful of, am I going to wake up and be down, right? Like that kind of shit. So I buy safe stuff. So most of my invested portfolio is either in Bitcoin. That's like the vast majority of my crypto holdings are Bitcoin. So that's what I invest in crypto, and then in TradFi, SPX, NAS, and silver. I think the gold is probably a better pick than silver. I don't know why silver's trading down so much right now. That's it. I have some different ETFs that have different structured bullshit. You know, I'm pretty sure, like, I can confidently say that when TradFi, most of my capital is in ETFs, like index funds, right? I don't think I own any individual stocks that are worth reasonable size. I do own some individual stocks, but they're piss size, so they don't matter. So that's basically it, brother. I think that you should invest in indexes and chill. There you go. I've been doing that for a long time now, and it seems to work really well. Eventually it won't, but need not worry about that. Like Fartcoin, down only coin. Yeah, I mean, look, Fartcoin is really successful with its attention getting and whatnot, but yeah, like, there's a reason why I stopped trading Fartcoin a long time ago. I stopped trading Pepe. There's a million coins I just started hard ignoring. Once they go into these perpetual bear structures, there's just no reason for me to fuck with them anymore. I'll look at BNB really quickly. I'm actually long BNB right now. I mean, it's getting pretty parabolic, so, you know, if you've been riding a spot trade on this, I would be, you know, looking to close this out in the next few $100 as it trades maybe a little bit higher, but yeah, it's a good coin. Never fade crime. When it comes to those crypto indexes like Total and Bitcoin Dominance, don't you think it's possible that big impact algos use them in placing buy and sell orders? Sure. It's possible. But my gut tells me no. It's probably not the most likely. CT said to long high FTV low float coins, and the market topped. Classic. Yeah, I mean, look, guys, if there's one thing that needs to change with our industry, that's like the tokenomic shit of having these massive evaluations and only releasing 5% of the supply, so the token goes up a lot. Like, we gotta fix that shit. That shit needs to be illegal. I'll be straightforward, and there's no problem. We always shoot straight. That's the one guarantee that I will offer. We shoot straight. Any thoughts on European stocks as opposed to SPX? Can't say, brother. I've never seriously considered any other indexes. I did look at the Japanese index at one point a long time ago because I had a Japanese bull thesis a while ago, but no. I don't have any shills for you guys on other indexes. If you live in other countries, maybe it makes sense. Like if you think that your country has a good economy, to bet on their index as well. Especially, I do like the idea of, like, it makes sense for you to bet where you live, guys. Like, I bet where I live, and I think that makes a lot of sense. Having said all that, though, if you're going to pick one index in the world to buy, there is no, like, this is very much a you know, Michael Saylor-esque kind of thing. There's only fucking one option, and it's the SPX. You hold any AI or robotic ETFs? I don't. No. None of I don't own any, I don't do any of those, like, niche specific ETFs. I think those things are retarded. Look, guys, I'm not an expert with this, but just take this with a grain of salt, but I I would only ever invest in extremely large, liquid, well-known ETF products, because one of the things that happens in TradFi is, how do they make their money? They make products and they sell them to people. They make money from the fees, right? So there's a lot of dog shit ETFs out there that you don't want to be in, right? Some guy probably thought he was a genius 15 years ago when he all in some fucking Palladium 3x ETF, and even though Palladium went up a fuck ton, the ETF is down. I mean, this is a real reality. BNB comments apply cake since it's the tailwinds trade. Probably, yeah. Anything BNB related, probably good. Odds that we bottomed here, guys. You guys really think I'm supposed to be, you know, some sort of just AI quant that's gonna spit out? It's approximately a 69.696969% chance. That's my answer for you, brother. It's a 69.69% chance that we bottomed out already. Follow for more Askus. Do you recommend trading perps on Coinbase at this time? My honest answer is no. Doc and I have been working very, very closely with the team for a while now, and I am confident that they're going to keep moving in the right direction, but their market maker program just isn't what I wanted it to be off the back. They're clearly making strides, because I do chat with them every week, and they are making strides. I think that eventually Coinbase perps are going to be one of the best instruments for you guys to trade, but it's just still very much building out the market maker program at this point. How's the cardio journey going? Pretty good. I definitely slowed down a little bit recently, just because like, if I go like lift weights as hard as I can, I'm not really going to strain myself, but having not run a lot and then running seriously for like 4 or 5 days straight, so my legs got super tight. One of my left knee feels kind of uncomfortable right now, so I'm slowing down a tiny bit, not because I don't want to. I'm actually really enjoying, like, after I do a run, I feel incredible, right? But I want to make sure that I don't fuck my knee up, TLDR. What is Delta telling you about Bitcoin dips? Nothing, bro. What do you mean? It's too generic of a question, you know? 3 times a week is enough. That's fair. That's fair. Well, to be honest, I was kind of getting excited about it, you know? Like, I wake up in the morning and I kind of want to run, because I just feel so good after. Like, I even starting to enjoy the run itself. I also like how productive I am afterwards. Hamstrings are way too tight for no reason. Yeah, my hammies aren't the problem. It's like tendons in my knees feel real tight, and in my ankles and shit. I'll figure it out, don't worry. All right, boys, let me lock back in. Let's get into some more serious topics and kind of close things out. So I'm going to come back to alts here momentarily, but I want to finish up a little bit of Bitcoin yap. So it does not look really good on the short term. So here's what we're working with. This is what I doodled yesterday for you guys. So basically the idea is, I did think that we would trade up higher before we did a higher low. It looks like the higher low, you know, at this point, that's enough of a sell-off that, you know, maybe I could cope and say it's just still a range. It's not invalid, right? Historically, actually, a lot of the times these ranges form like this. I know I'm just making shit up on the fly, but historically, a lot of times these ranges do have that kind of move like this. So go back and look at Bitcoin on like a 12-hour. Let's see if I can cherry pick some shit. I don't really want to do the stream anymore, so I'm gonna entertain myself. How many times on the 12-hour do you see impulsive moves that have like this? Like, this is kind of what I was imagining, right? So you can have really disgusting moves that are just a part of the range. And this is what you are praying is the case right now, 100%. There's a lot of instances where I could go and cherry pick like 70 million instances of this. Some of them will be on higher time frames, some will be on like more medium-ish, but this is a reoccurring pattern. Main thoughts on medium time frame are, I think that my trading up higher plan is probably invalidated for the short term. So the most optimistic plan is that we just range between 125 and 120 and build out a value here. So you see this kind of do a deviation, come back into it, and just build out that value. That's what I want to see moving forward. Alternatively, I could see the idea that 120 was the level that everyone wants to long. So I could see us like trading through it really aggressively, making a much more kind of abrasive candle than people are necessarily prepared for, and then trading up from there. I mean, one of the most important pieces of this conversation is I just think that, you're in October now. You're in October from now until here, right? This is the October window. At some point, it's going to pressure you with one of these kind of moves, right? What you're getting today is not the pressure move. I feel very confident in saying that. That's pretty much it, guys. I think we've probably covered a lot of the kind of key points. Let's look at VWAPs really quick. Yeah, so I just, as great as it is to have the markets go up, for those of you guys that have been in the Paragon for a long time, you know already probably what I'm gonna say. If the quarterly is opening upwards, it gives me a little heebie-jeebies, to be honest. So we need to pressure people and trade in the direction of quarterly value area low and kind of fuck people up a bit. So I guess that's probably what my consensus take is gonna be, is that we're probably gonna trade down from here a bit lower, and the intent is to make this scary for you, right? You can't have a scenario where every fucking account on CT with 600,000 followers is saying October every day, right? You can't have that. So we're gonna pressure them. Down to do some altcoin yap here in a second. Let me catch back up with chat though. I think it's the mostly PvP market. No, I don't at all. It's probably maybe a hot take. I think most people's understandings of that kind of stuff is pretty retarded. So here's what I would say: if you segregate the market into liquid and illiquid, it's probably not the best segregation, but you get it, right? Liquid is going to be your large caps, right? Your Bitcoins, your Solanas, your ETH, your big shit, right? The large liquid stuff is basically PvE right now. That's what it's felt like for a long time for me. The flows that come in and back me whenever I buy, let's say I bought a Bitcoin at 112 last week, which I did. What's backing in my trade and making my trade work is all the ETF and all the passive flows that are coming in, right? So I think that the liquid markets are very PvE in a lot of ways, because you just have this passive, price insensitive buyer that doesn't give a fuck. That just comes in and keeps buying over and over again. The less liquid side of things is very much PvP, because there's no environmental aspect to this. It's just one guy trying to steal a Solana from another guy, right? You know what I mean? So hopefully that makes sense. I think that's pretty valid argument. I didn't really think about that until you asked this question right now. I think that large liquid stuff is very PvE in a lot of ways, because I just get, you buy the things and then you just get rewarded by these price insensitive buyers. Just a whole new world that we live in today in 2025 compared to the OG days of crypto. Could you become the market maker on Coinbase? Fuck no. Market making is really hard, guys. I went on a decent run as a market maker a while ago. A long time ago. And I'm pretty good at designing the systems, but it's really difficult to manage the risk, right? Without just being a one-to-oneer. And yeah. Without rebates, I don't want to be a one-to-one market maker without rebates, and rebates don't really exist the way that they used to. Most of you guys don't give a fuck about what I just said, or even have a clue what I just said, but we'll move on. Hoping for a pump dip. I think, yeah, pump is a priority coin for me. I think it's a decent coin for sure. I'm going to start to run through altcoins here momentarily, my friends, and then we'll probably wrap up the stream after that. Don't hesitate to ask any last minute questions, though, my friends. And when I say last minute, I don't actually mean last minute. Got 170 of you in here and 66 likes. Press that like button for me, please. If you had a small port, would you de-risk some Bitcoin for alts? Would I sell my alts into Bitcoin? Look, I think you're too fucking late to that shit. You know what I mean? Look, guys. I think that, you know, what's that? The quote from John Told in or Tlud, whatever the fuck his name is, in Margin Call, right? It's not panicking if you sell first, right? If you're gonna do it, if you're gonna make these moves, you need to move quick. And the idea of selling alts into Bitcoin now is pretty dumb because you've been waiting all year for whatever November is probably set to do, which November is probably your altcoins going up, in my opinion, right? So you should have sold your shit into Bitcoin a long time ago, and now's the time to be starting to strongly consider swapping into alts. You know what I mean? No idea what you're saying, but super interesting. You want to talk about who's the worst trader on CT? Imagine a more boring conversation, right? So everybody's the worst trader, so it doesn't actually matter. You think ETH leads on the next leg up? It could, but what I would say is I want Bitcoin to always lead. You always want Bitcoin to lead, guys. Who's the worst person that everything is goated? Look, guys, I have so many people that I could say, but we're not going to come in here and just, this is the purpose of these streams, is to learn and grow and we're not coming in here to just spark up drama and be little snarky bitches. It's not what we do here. Snarky bitchery is for closed doors, boys, if I'm being honest, right? That's the only moment where I'm ever snarky about that kind of shit, is when it's just me and my friends, closed doors. I'm not going to come on here and do that stuff. Always going to keep it 100 with you. I am a human being, so of course I like to talk shit about other people, right? I'm a person. I mean, the other way, sell BTC into alts. So sell your alts into Bitcoin? I don't understand what you're saying either way. Either or, neither of them are good. You should be selling Bitcoin into alts if that, yes. Swap Bitcoin into alts if anything. It's a very risky thing, right? So I hate to even tell you guys, because I've advocated for holding Bitcoin for so long, but yes, that if you want to take more risk, you put your Bitcoin into alts. That's the answer. What's your pick for memes in Q4? We'll do XRP first because that was asked. I do like XRP a lot here. Okay, actually, I do and I don't. So here's the reason why I haven't bought XRP yet. Structuring's pretty bad. So until it defeats this meme triangle and you see the breakout, I don't really want to buy it. So I either rather buy a lower or higher. I don't like this area where it's at. This is the conversation I was just having this in Paragon really recently. I think that this is set up to do this. Probably something similar to what it did last year, where Bitcoin carries the market up and then everything just goes up. So I do think that this will probably be a winner of sorts, but you don't want to be super early to these things because you could deal with a lot of chop and drawdown beforehand. So you're essentially waiting for it to deviate this structure shift. I thought I had more. Okay, apparently I had more drawings. This is essentially what we were looking for, right? Until it defeats the meme triangle, you want to chill on this. But it's, look, it's, you know, it's on my hot list. These are good coins right here. What's my pick for memes in Q4? So the obvious no-brainer play for me is Doge, right? It's a large liquid coin. I can yeet coins into this. I can yeet into this and yeet out of it. Just you send 50, 200K clips, whatever, and I don't even move price. You know, I love trading Doge because it's the largest, most liquid meme for that reason alone, pretty much. So my core shill is Doge. I own a fuck ton of Doge. Outside of Doge, though, my shill is probably SPX. I don't, there's not a whole lot of memes that I'm particularly interested in. Most of them look like piss and have no attention. Maybe Fartcoin returns, but we'll see. I could definitely see SPX being a good coin though. Unfortunately, right now the medium time frame structure is pretty bearish on it, as you guys can see right now. It's got bear structuring, so that's the only reason why I don't already own this coin. If it looked like this, if it looked like this, I'd already own it, right? But it looks a little too risky for me to buy it just yet. But I think that Murad's gonna run this one back. Honestly, simple as that. I don't really want to do an open interest scan right now, Mental. I mean, ooh, okay, all right. That's actually semi-interesting. It is safe to assume that is probably predominantly shorts. I don't want to pull up all my tools to confirm that. I'm just gonna be lazy and look at Agar as well. It is an extremely safe assumption that somebody opened a pretty large short on Binance. Open interest up almost 2.5%. So there you go. That doesn't mean that the low is in per se, but it means that this is going to be this is the bottoming process now. Who said that in the chat? Who said that? Shout out Mental. These are the things that we care about, you know? This is actually pretty important information. And I'm going to be honest. Brace yourself, because I'm maybe going to be a dick for a second, but this is what I give up to do these streams. I missed this, where if I was just trading on my own, sitting in silence, I would have noticed this right away, right? So, not saying you need to thank me or anything, but just acknowledge the fact that I miss opportunities to do these streams and shit every week for you. Good eye. Who was that again? Mental. Good eye, good eye. All right. Let's see. Where were we at? Even during a so-called alt season, Bitcoin, it would be supposed to lead. Yes. So, I don't want to, get tired of teaching the same lessons, but essentially, when Bitcoin's in a range, summertime range, you expect Bitcoin to lead. At a certain point, Bitcoin loses its momentum and then goes into its next range. In these early stages where it's losing its momentum and starting to range, this is the wave where your altcoins will send from year to year, right? Maybe some of them will do well in these kind of later stages, but Bitcoin ranges, expands, ranges. That's this process that it goes through. You always want to see Bitcoin be strong. Even if your altcoin is just never going up, you want to see Bitcoin be strong because it increases the likelihood of things playing out positively for you, right? You need your benchmark to go up. So I've just taught that lesson so many times that it becomes really boring. It's one of the harder things for me with education, and why sometimes you guys think like Doc is the one teaching it to you, because I just can't say the same lesson over and over again. It gets super boring for me. Have you had success shorting during bear periods? Can you show us examples of when you shorted from the Pico top? You guys really want me to do that? Is that like it's not really a poignant thing given the current market that we're in. Look, in 2022, I shorted a lot, right? I shorted a lot. And I'm gonna teach you guys a very, very important lesson, and if you listen up right now, you'll understand why I am so long biased and why I don't really care about shorts. In 2022, I traded this market basically perfectly. I hedged at the top. It's 66K, which on futures was 68K at the time. I sold all my spot from 64 to 59, and I was net short basically the whole way through. I had a swing short from here to here. Literally from there to there. I had a swing short. I don't remember if it was up here or maybe it was right here. Either way, I remember catching this. I literally caught every single big down move in the year except for the FTX nuke. That was the only big short I didn't catch. I'm not saying this to brag, because get ready for the fucking painful lesson. Even though I traded this perfectly between taxes, I got on-chain hacked, and FTX. Between these three expenses or losses, even though I traded the year perfectly, I actually had a down year. After I was done finalizing all my taxes and shit, I lost money this year. I traded the year perfectly, had basically the best shorts that I could have traded, right? But because of 2 excess losses plus the tax obligation from 2021 was pretty massive, right? And I'm paying it this year. I lost money this year on paper, right? So I just want to teach you guys the lesson that people sexualize the down markets and being the guy that catches the short or whatever. It's not that pretty, right? Sure, I could have done better and maybe made more money. I didn't have my tax infrastructure was set up in such a poor way that I got absolutely decimated on taxes, from that. So there's some caveats to be woven in there, but acknowledge the fact that I traded 2022 absolutely perfectly to the downside and didn't make any money. So there you go. All right, let me get some water and we'll move forward. I'm gonna look up the process of being a market maker. Thought it was just about providing liquidity. It's much more nuanced than that, Nelly, because it's incredibly competitive. So it's like you have to be competitive to get filled, because if you quote too wide, then you never get filled. But if you quote too tight, then you can get run over. Handling the logic of balancing your orders and your distributions and then managing the risk is just like Nelly, just trust me, bro. None of us are really cut out for that kind of stuff. It's only gotten, I had moderate success with it in 2020 and 2021 with my business partner. And, it was cool, but it's so much harder now than it was then. And we failed then. So I wouldn't even try it again seriously. Trading perps is for gambling addicts, not investors. People are in denial. Well, I mean, buddy, it's literally like the most... Are you trolling me? Is that a copy pasta? No shit, perps aren't investments. They're short-term speculative vehicles, right? But it doesn't mean that you should rule one or the other out, right? Most of my money in my life has come from my spot trades, but I've had a lot of big successes in risk, primarily in risk management with derivatives. So let me go ahead and flip this on your head right now and make you have to rethink your entire life. An investor should use derivatives to play defense. You fucking buy spot, you buy the underlying on dips, right? And then when it goes up a fuck ton, you can short it and hedge with the fucking same collateral that you used to buy, right? Anyways, I'm not out here advocating for you guys being perp degenerates, because realistically, I know the statistics that 90% of you guys are going to lose money. But I get a little sensitive to that because I hear people saying that perps are bad and politicians and all these talking heads saying they're bad. And derivatives have been one of the things that have saved me from losing money so many times over. And that's one of the things that you probably very rarely hear. All right. Let's get through some of the last minute yapperinos. Hey, thanks, guys. I wasn't saying any of that bullshit about the, I was just saying it to be real. You know what I mean? What platforms do you use? I use Agar. I use TradingView. I use that Kiyotoka bullshit for liquidity, even though it's kind of dog shit. I use Insilico Terminal for execution. I think that's it. Elite Tax Alpha. There's no such thing as Tax Alpha, brother. Go find a certified, fiduciary, CPA, and most of you guys just need a CPA. If you're really on the more serious end of the things, and you probably need a tax lawyer as well. You just go fucking pay an expert to figure it out for you. That's 100% the answer. Thanks, guys, for all the positive shit in the chat. I do appreciate it. I'm not going to read every individual comment, but I do see it, and I appreciate you. Thank you, men. Sounds like I'm saying a generic statement to all of you, but there's a guy in the chat with the name Men. Crazy outperformance on Pump right now. Is it? Okay, yeah, I see it going up. All right. Perp trading. Oh, what did I just miss? True as a hedge, but absolutely right, but most ain't using it the right way. Look, guys, there's the platitude you can lead a horse to water, right, or cliche, or whatever you want to call it. Like, it exists for a reason, right? Because it's one of the truest things in life. For over and over again, I've tried to preach, go slow and steady. Use derivatives for risk management. Don't care about leverage, care about position sizing. All these kind of things I've said over and over again, and I can't lead people into the right direction. The only thing that is going to force most of you to adopt my approach after hearing me say it many times is pain. Losing and getting your dick kicked into the back of your throat is what's going to make you go, maybe I should go slow and steady. Maybe I shouldn't go and trade 50x on perps, right? Maybe I should use derivatives for risk management. Maybe I shouldn't, be caring what my leverage ticker is and care about the position size, etc., etc. Trading perps is maybe a better spot trader. I could see that being true 100%, right? One of the most valuable things that you're going to get from the perp side is the, repetitions. You're just getting lots of clicks. I think that's actually a really good segue conversation, right? For everybody, perps aren't going to be the winning tool that makes you rich. I get that 100%, right? I would be lying to you if I said otherwise. But the one thing that all of us can get out of trading perps is that experience, right? And that enduring the perpetual uncertainty of, am I going to round trip? Is it going to work for me? Am I going to get stopped out? Blah, blah, blah. Did I just take profit too early? Did I just take profit too late? All the just perpetual uncertainty is painful as it is to experience, is so good for you as a person. Your ability to sit through uncomfortable times, your ability to, manage and rationalize with your emotions and things like this, right? So the experience from perp trading that you'll get when you try to apply it in a serious way is really, really valid, right? It should not be discounted. Not liquidations, like liquidity, mental. Realistically, isn't it more fair to say that 99% of participants lose money, leaving just 1% of winners? It depends on how you look at it, right? Like if 95% of people are going to lose on perps, that number gets dampened by the fact that some of those people will make money on spot. So then they're not losers in the end, you know what I mean? You give a high level explanation of how you got hacked. I still to this day don't understand all the, exactly what I did wrong. I think I just clicked the link. So there you go. When you're on chain, always periodically make the effort to disconnect your wallet from apps that you don't need it to. So you can go in on your wallet and see what apps it's connected to, disconnect it from the unnecessary ones, and just don't be quick and hastily about your transaction approving. I did lose that on-chain hack was a lot of money. But luckily it was just all profits from having won pretty bigly on DeFi Kingdom. So it wasn't the worst thing ever that could have happened to me. But, yeah, I'm not a security expert by any means, guys. Gold hit 4K. Did it actually hit 4K today? I guess it did. It's pretty close, huh? Crypto sold off today, right? The New York Exchange opens. It doesn't happen every day, but when should we expect a dump when the market opens? You prepare for it, especially if we have a long... so it's pretty wise to not have, open positions going into New York. New York's normally going to be the most volatile session, so... you should fade a lot of moves that come in on New York, right? If New York opens down, you probably want to, buy it. Vice versa. I don't want to do a full explanation on how to trade New York because it's just one of those things I've talked about so many times that I just don't want to. Maybe next week. I think I just misclicked the link, but I don't know. Boys, this was also a super long time ago. I made the mistake in probably December of 2021 and then, didn't get punished for it until January 2022. So it's been a long time. Paying the outrageous swap fees to trade intraday would be insane. Charles, what are you talking about? Clicking links can be really bad. A very insightful statement. Can't be lax about security. If you have more than 25K on chain, everything's a trap. Yeah, 100%. You know, I was super lax about that, right? If I'm being honest, boys, I hit big with DeFi Kingdoms because I was super early to it. I think my average jewel buy was like $3 or something like that, right? So like I was very, very early to DeFi Kingdoms, and I sold on everybody too. So like from a trade standpoint, I ran it up big. I don't remember the exact numbers, but you know, it was a lot of money, right? It was it was a lot because I think I put like 55K in originally, so it was a big bag. And in the process of bridging over, I left a bunch of it on Harmony, and when I went back to go look at it, it was all gone. And it was like 165K that I lost, so it sucked. Magus missed out on the $1 bajillion not squeezing that short earlier. 100%. 100%. I could have been 155x leverage from the low when that guy opened the short, and I could have been yapping about being retired right now. Do you mess around with Time Wonderland or any of those rebase tokens back in the day? No, not really, guys. Look, it's the lesson of he who chases two rabbits catches neither. I don't really chase everything that's in front of me. I normally do one narrative at a time. When those rebasing and fucking Ponzi-nomic 3-3 tokens were going on, there were so many things to do that I chose not to play the OHMs and shit like that. But a bunch of my friends made insane money. I had a student at the time that went from like 0 to millions off of OHM and off of one of the other ones. So it was cool to watch a bunch of my friends and peers went off that, but I didn't trade any of that stuff. I was about the perp equaling bad, just sticking to spot would be really expensive. Yeah, 100%. Liquidity and fees on derivatives are always cheaper. That is like, when people wonder why do people trade derivatives? That's the answer. It's cheaper and more liquid, right? The fees will always cost less. Generally speaking, they should cost less, and it's almost always going to be so much more liquid on a derivative than a spot exchange. So that's why we like perps. No, Pablo, you can't do that because there's no proof. They don't give a fuck, right? For tax stuff, you have to prove everything. And a lot of on-chain stuff, it can be difficult. So, no, I did not get to write any of that stuff off. It was just a fucking straight loss. I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out there, guys. If somebody's ever told you that, like, writing off losses and stuff is great, you can just write it off. Like, they're retarded and don't have any experience doing it. When I'm writing something off, it means I just lost a fuck ton of money. So it's not like a win, right? It's like the idea of how somebody, writes off something that they would buy, right? If I go buy a computer and write it off, it's not a free computer. It's like a 50% off computer, roughly, right? Probably getting a little too far into the weeds on this, but TLDR, boys. I really appreciate that you guys are asking questions about taxes, but you should not learn from anybody other than a expert. So go and find an expert in your region. You don't need to be a crypto expert, right? You just need to be a tax nerd in general, right? Go have them get your shit set up, pay them their fees. Frankly, the fees are pretty nominal compared to what you actually get out of it. You're good, Serendipity. I didn't even read it yet, to be honest. I'm all for you guys coming in the chat and getting retardio. You guys should see what the Paragon streams are like for me every week. Every Friday I do my Paragon stream. And over the years, my streams have just gotten rowdier and rowdier to the point where I have to, you guys see with the public ones where I'm like, okay, let's get serious for a second. I have to do that constantly because the boys in the group just get crazy. And that's why we have a lot of fun. Are you going to educate us on how to trade options once you get more involved with them? Probably. I probably will. But I don't like teaching things when I don't think that I am qualified. My options volume in my lifetime's option volume is pretty low, right? It's probably like less than 200K total. So I should not ever be speaking on options. All right, my friends. I think we'll probably wrap up the stream here now. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Big shout out to Coinbase for sponsoring my content. If you want to expedite your learning curve or just come out and hang out with us in general, I think that joining the Paragon group is a no-brainer play for you guys. I wouldn't shill it if I didn't truly believe in it. So I've spent, what? Holy shit. We're about to be at 4 years in the Paragon group, I just realized. This month is going to be the official 4-year mark for Paragon. That's crazy. That just hit me like a fucking bag of bricks. I'm old. All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you got a laugh. I'll see you guys very soon. Keep an eye out for Paragon shills. I see what you guys are asking. Keep an eye out. Cheers.